Afternoon, Effi. How are you?
Yeah, really good.
All right. Can you explain to me, Effi, a little bit about the bending process and what I could expect once the profiles have been bent?
Yeah, sure. It's a good question. So we bend the profiles after they've been already anodized, okay? Because anodizing requires it to go inside a bath where it gets an electrolysis process, and so you cannot properly anodize a curved rail. So we have to bend it after the anodization. And therefore some things occur which are not possible to avoid, and it'd be good to be able to show what one can expect from the end result of a curved profile. Some of the things that you will see are more visible in particular angles and less visible in other angles. Okay. So you will see a stretching of the anodization and cracking of it on the outside. Okay? So the process will stretch the rail on the inside, and obviously on the inside it contracts. Okay. But the stretching process creates some fine line cracking, which is more visible when you look at it at an angle from the sunlight, right, and less visible when you look at it face on. It's almost invisible. So if you look at it directly, yes, you can't see it very well. But if you look at it at an angle, it gets a little bit brighter, and you can see that. Basically, the tighter the radius, the smaller the radius, the more the curve, the more stretching happens. You view it in sunlight, you will see it more. You view it in a overcast situation, you will barely notice it. We've taken the same rail that we looked at in the sunlight, and we put it now inside, out of the sunlight, and you can maybe try to get some shots from the side, and you'll see that it's, less visible, obviously, in indirect sunlight. But overall, it's good to understand that is a natural, or that is part of the process of the curved rails that we supply. Now, if we look on the inside of the profile, again, this is relatively small, small radius. So this is a tight bend. So everything that we see is tighter on this than it would be on a more on a larger radius. Okay, so you also see on the inside here, on the inside line of the balustrade, what you get here is also cracking, but it is more localized to the point where the most pressure is on the profile. So you will get some marks along here, and that is again part of the bending process. If you move away and you look at it from even a meter distance, it's almost invisible. But if you look at it very close and at an angle, it will become visible. And these are not defects as such, these are part of the process, and we cannot avoid them. So it's important to know what to expect when you're looking at a curve. Okay, let's pick a different profile now. Let's pick an aerofoil curve, and we'll show you these. Okay, so now we've taken a different profile. This is the aerofoil system, and this is a less deep curve. So this is a larger radius, and the profile being a different shape. So it looks pretty good. You can't really notice at a glance, especially not face on, about the stretching. But if you start looking at it at an angle, you will see the stretching, the very faint lines, especially in the light. They will be across here where you can see the stretch marks of the anodization. Okay? It's particularly noticeable. I don't know if the camera will pick it up well, but you can see where, when we're bending a profile, the ends of it don't get bent. We cut them off, so you can see where the stretching starts is where the bending starts, okay? So that's noticeable on the outside when you're looking at it at an angle. But when you're looking at it face on, which you don't, you're not usually on the outside of the balustrade, but it's not very noticeable. If when you go on the inside of the profile, there's not very much, but you may see like a line, the pressure point of when it's getting bent. You may see a line of the anodization. So let's take this outside in the sunlight and see how the same that we've looked inside, what it looks like when it's lit up on the sun, okay? Okay, so we've taken the same rail that we were looking at inside and taken it outside. And again, if you want to look at it from the angle of the curve, if you come this way and you look at it along the curve, in the sunlight you will see that it looks brighter, and that's the stretching, okay? As you look at it in the sun, that's what it becomes. And when you go back out here and you can stand, then you can see some angles it's more visible, some angles it's less visible. It's part of the metalwork and the stretching lines of the anodization. So that's how it's viewed from the outside. Let's turn it around and have a look at it on the inside. Okay, so when you're looking at the rails from the inside on the aerofoil, it's got a very, very low profile, so it's almost invisible. But when you look very close in, maybe put it at a little bit of an angle, you can see the pressure point from the bending. So you can see that. And obviously there are anodized lines which will be on a straight profile anyhow. But that's what one can expect on the bending of the profiles. Now what we've looked at is the silver anodize, okay? The Royal Chrome, which I think we'll go in the showroom and have a look at, the Royal Chrome has a little bit the same. It has the same type of stretching, but it could be more noticeable on the Royal Chrome because it is more of a shiny finish, and therefore the stretch marks may become more visible. We'll have a look in the showroom and we'll show you a couple of curved Royal Chrome profiles to complete the understanding. All right, so now we're inside the showroom and we've got a sample here of a curved aerofoil profile at a very tight angle. So this is probably the tightest radius that we would do, maybe even tighter than what we recommend, but you didn't hear that from me. Now let's have a look at the effects, and obviously the tighter the radius, the more the effect. So we were talking about the stretch marks. Now we're not in direct sunlight, so it's harder to see, but if you look at it at an angle, you will see that there are some stretch marks along the profile, okay? And that's on the outside, and when we look in on the inside, you will also see, you see these lines? There's a few lines in here. These are not scratches, but these are stretch marks which are caused from the tightness of the bending on the anodization. Now if you look at the rail itself and you look at it on above, so you can see we've got a straight bit here and a curved bit. You can see that the curve has gotten smaller, so it's gotten squashed a bit from the bending, And that's why we put between the straight and the curved, we put a mitre protection plate on curves. We don't do that on straight joints. We do that on curves to overcome the differences that are caused from the bending. Okay, so that's to show you the difference on a royal chrome and also on a very tight radius. Okay, let's go have a look at the curved orbit profile, which we have here. So here again, this is inside our showroom. We have a curved orbit system, which is in a royal chrome anodized finish. And if we are looking, you are looking from the outside right now. If you come where I'm standing and look towards the inside, then you will see that there are very light lines here, which it seems like it's got a little bit of brightness. And that's, again, those are the cracking. This is probably 10 years old now, this profile on here. But you can see that that's the cracking slash stretch marks from the anodization. That's on the inside. When you stand out, when you come out towards maybe, standing a meter and a half away, it's almost invisible, and the overall view of the curve is as you can see it. So the stretch marks on the anodizing are usually visible when you're looking at it from an angle rather than directly on. Let's have a look on the outside, where it's usually more overt. So when you're looking, let's start, how you would look at a rail normally. It's almost invisible. We're standing now 2 meters away. Even if you get close to about, less than a meter away, it's almost invisible. But when you turn your view and you look at it at an angle, it's very dependent on the lighting. Maybe in the other direction it will become a little bit more visible. It's very difficult actually in this lighting. But let's see if I can light it up maybe with an additional light, if we can maybe see it a little bit more. So, can you see that? When I'm lighting it up, especially from my angle, if you come from my angle, when I'm lighting it up, you can see the stretch marks. So it could be in direct sunlight, it will be more visible. When it's overcast, less visible, but it is there. The stretching is existing, and it's good to understand that this is not a defect, but it's part of the process that the profiles go through. And as I mentioned, this specific handrail is probably already 10 years in the showroom, and it's still looking good.
All right. Thank you, Effie. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.